Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm doing this video blog called Integral Practice. Um, I am a spiritual researcher, truth seeker, evolutionary integralist, a little bit of everything. I've dabbled in a lot of things, the occult, paganism. I've done a lot of research into many religions, many New Age ideas, many scientific consciousness ideas, the Institute of Noetic Sciences, and uh, stuff that Lynn McTaggart has written on. Things that where science is starting to move towards spirituality. I really enjoy stuff like that. The reason why I created this video podcast or video blog or whatever you want to call it is because I know that within myself and probably within many others, there is a tendency to work solely on the theories and the ideas that are presented in spirituality and the evolving of the self and self-development. And sometimes the practice falls by the wayside. And I know that that's happened with me. And so this is kind of a collaborative thing, an open discussion type thing. It's basically a push for you and for me to start to actually practice, develop our practices. And I call it integral practice because it is based on the principles of integral. The integral has their own system, the Integral Institute. And when I say integral, I'm talking about the whole group that has grown up around Ken Wilber and his ideas. Integral was started by people before Ken Wilber, but generally speaking, in the modern era, Integral is Ken Wilber and his ilk. Anyway, they've created a really helpful guide called Integral Life Practice. And there's two ways you can learn about that, two main ways you can learn about that. The first way is to buy their book. I have a link in the show notes at Amazon. And the other way is to get their kit. But ultimately, what it breaks down is, I don't know how well you can see this, but it breaks down the things that you can do, the different practices that you can do in your life first of all, into four major categories right here. The core categories: body, mind, spirit, and shadow. And those are the main things I'm going to talk about. Not all of them in every show, but those are the main things that they recommend that you develop, and it makes a lot of sense because this covers both horizontal and vertical development. Meaning horizontal development is like an expansion of where you are, what level of being you're at, and vertical development is raising your level of being. It's almost like gaining a better perspective, and we'll get into that in future episodes, and some of you may already know what I'm talking about. Let's see, I have a couple notes here about what I want to talk about. Okay, talk about a little news item. I don't know how many of you read the magazine EnlightenNext. It's a very good magazine. It's published by the EnlightenNext nonprofit organization headed by Andrew Cohen, who is the leader of evolutionary spirituality. They have some ties with Integral. I think it's a really great group, and this magazine is just, when I found it, it used to be called What is Enlightenment Magazine. I just could not believe that there was actually a magazine like this that actually spoke to the things that I look into so very well. But and unfortunately, they've gone down. They were a quarterly magazine, which is bad enough, but now they've gone down to biannually, twice a year, which is disappointing. But I understand why they did it. It's a tough time for magazines, but anyway, even so, they have great articles. And the one I wanted to share with you is called Finding Spirit in the Fabric of Space and Time. And it's a very interesting article about a exploration of quantum consciousness, as they say. It's a theory by an anesthesiologist and a consciousness researcher named Stuart Hameroff, who has a theory that consciousness may be evoked in the brain because of the microtubules, which are the skeletal structure of cells in the neurons. And I'm not going to be able to do the article justice. You've got to pick it up and read it. But essentially, what it's not an argument for a materialistic origin of consciousness. It's actually it actually suggests that consciousness is part of the essential fabric of the universe, that there could be quanta of consciousness just as there are quarks and those other quantum particles. It's really fascinating and gives you another perspective on what consciousness is, and I definitely recommend that you read it. There's another great article in here talking about Gene Gebser, who was actually one of the influences of Ken Wilber in parts of his overarching integral philosophy. So, great articles in here. Recommend you get it, the latest issue of EnlightenNext. All right, let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Oh yes, no, I already talked about that. So, okay, I'm going to end this with practice. Normally, it's my plan to bring an exercise that you can choose to do. You know, this isn't school. You're not being tested. It's something you can do to actually take action on the stuff we discuss, the stuff that you study, and actually put into practice your spirituality so you can start to grow up and outward and expand your consciousness and perspective and really truly evolve, because each and every one of us have to evolve ourselves. And when we evolve ourselves, we contribute to the evolution of all of humanity. That's my belief. But instead of giving you a practice or giving you an exercise that you can choose to do if you wish, I'm going to start off with this first episode asking you, what is your practice? What is your daily practice? Do you, and honestly, do you daily meditate? Do you, do some kind of shadow work daily? Which, if you don't know what that is, that's where you sit down and essentially work through the different parts of yourself that you have either projected or hidden. And we can get into that more deeply. Actually, you can Google 3-2-1 shadow work, or is it 1-2-3? I'm not sure. You'll find it through one of those. And but yeah, what is your practice? What do you do daily to evolve yourself? And if you don't do anything daily and you want to do something daily, tell me that. Put it in the comments, put it in a video response. What do you want to start doing daily? Or what do you do daily? And hopefully as this goes on, we can all kind of start actually doing things daily and really start to get a solid practice that each of us can design for ourselves to truly evolve and not just talk about evolving. So thank you. Give me your feedback and subscribe if you would like to stay up to date, and I'll see you next time. Oh, and check out my blog. Classic ending line. Check out my blog. It's www.transhumanize.com, and that'll be linked over in the show notes. All right, thanks.